So good evening, everybody, and welcome. So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name's Raymond Jo, and I've just been asked by Simon just to give him a little short introduction. So I've known Simon here, for a little while now, and he asked me to give him a hand to put a bit of a thing together, so that he can come and explain what potential opportunities there are for us in this district, for the growers in this district, for get a bit of extra money, particularly at a good time when sugar prices are so low. So I'm not going to hold you up too long, but I did say to Simon, I said, Simon, mate, trash. We like our trash because we farm a little bit different here, and Simon, really, um, we've heard all this before, and he said, yeah, that's right, but you've never heard it from me. So here he is, Simon. Thank you, Simon. Please give Simon a welcome to Ingham.
Thanks, Raymond. Thanks very much. I don't usually get nervous unless there are five growers in the room, and I don't get nervous very often, but tonight I am really nervous. So let me start by telling you a bit of my background so you know what I don't know. So I'm from Hong Kong, born and raised in Hong Kong. I started to come to Australia about 9 years ago because of this project, and I'm now a permanent resident of Queensland because I just couldn't leave. So my background is law. I'm an English trained solicitor. I am a corporate merger and acquisition guy. I am a private equity guy. But my career has always been associated with energy. So that's why this potential really got my attention since 2017. But before I go any further to talk about the company, I want to acknowledge a few of our guests here. Mr. Greg Bishop. Greg used to be the CEO of Queensland Sugar. He retired from QSL a year ago and has very kindly agreed to help us and be our senior advisor. Phil Morano, I don't think he needs introduction. He is very kind to come up to hear from Burdekin with us. And Glenn Bletteridge, chair of Cane Grow Burdekin. Again, we've been working together for probably since the beginning, some 8-9 years ago. And then Russell Hall at the back. Russell also has been extremely supportive of what we're doing in the Burdekin. And I don't know if I missed anyone, but those who travel to hear for this, I am really, really, really grateful. So I don't want to waste time. I'll give you a 15 minutes introduction of what we're doing. So Sky Renewables, we like to think, I think we are the first mover in Australia in terms of trying to get agricultural resources and waste for bioenergy. We are the first, but we are not the only one. We are the first who is still here working on this. We started our journey in the Burdekin in 2017. That was when I was invited to watch a cane fire. Because of my energy background coming from Asia, I saw on the one hand, you guys are not really doing much with the trash. On the other hand, countries like Japan, who's got a lot of money but no resources, they are really treasuring biomass as a potential feedstock for their energy. People ask, what do we bring in terms of value? I don't think we bring much, except we connect all the dots. So I'm from Hong Kong. We come here, we look at the feedstock, and I've always believed right from the beginning, feedstock is key. People talk about technology, talk about a lot of things, but without feedstock, there is no project, there is nothing. And that's why we've been focused on the feedstock. And obviously, I'll talk a bit more after this page. We also connect with the technology that is the enabler to use this feedstock to produce the bioenergy we want. And then we obviously have to connect with the customer. Without customer paying the money, which nobody is paying even last year, the kind of money that would enable us to do things that we haven't been able to do before. And again, I think most importantly is we are willing to share outcomes with growers. We are not here to just exploit your resources. I've been here long enough to know that without a community, we can achieve nothing. So we'd like to think of ourselves starting from the paddock. We want to be on the feedstock side. But just things that happened the last couple of months, I think our project has taken on a new dimension, which is what the government call sovereign fuel capability. we kind of learned it the hard way that we need to have more resources available in country, and bioenergy will never be the mainstream. But I think we are here, we are now, and we can do our part and basically take advantage of the situation, if you don't mind me saying, of the need for biofuel in country for our own use. We have two projects. We call Project Line in the Burdekin is to utilize tops and trash to make bioenergy, namely sustainable aviation fuel and biodiesel. We also have a project in Emerald, which we encourage, and we got commitment from 8 of the largest growers there, who are cotton growers today, to farm sugar beet as a winter rotational crop, and then take the thick juice from the sugar beet and turn them into ethanol as well, and SAF as well, using a different technology. I don't need to tell you this. I think we are in a hard place right now, and whatever we're trying to do here doesn't take anything away from anything you do in terms of your current activities, your product, your revenue. We are just adding a stream to it so that we can actually make more money from what we grow and what we have in the paddock. We are starting to engage the Lansdowne Industrial Precinct. That is a very convenient place for both the Birkin and for here. And we have started the engagement. Based on our current timeline, we should be able to break ground 2 years from now, which sounds like a long time, but it's actually quite promising, because we talked to Lansdowne. Their closest project is a year away, so we are kind of getting it on their radar screen, and they are very keen to work with us. A site in Lansdowne would be very important for both the Birkin and for here, because it's the right spot. It's next to the largest army base in Australia and second largest Air Force base, and they need a lot of biofuel. Again, I don't need to show you this. We don't make enough here, and what we're trying to do is just contribute a small drop in the bucket, but I think we do have what it takes. I'm very proud of this. And the next page, this is our team. Our team has been together for a long time. Most of my team members I've known for 20, 30 years. So we are not just a good team, we're a very coherent team. Most of them have been to the Birkin a number of times, some pretty frequently. Our latest addition, though, I want to highlight. One is our chairman in Singapore. Raymond used to be the chair of PwC Asia Pacific, which also includes Australia, one of the top guys in the entire PwC universe. I think the guy you would know better is Craig Doyle. Craig, as you know, he has many good track records in the past, and all of which are relevant to what we're doing, including being a GM of Wilmar here. And Craig has recently retired from NAIF, from the North Australian Infrastructure Facility, and he has very, very graciously accepted our invitation to become our senior member. Those of you who know Craig, you know he's a ball of energy, and I am never shy to call him, text him, email him, and he's always respond within a couple of hours at the most. I won't waste your time on this, but these are all very good team members of ours. So in essence, what we're trying to do, if you work backwards, we start from that side. What we're trying to do is we utilize the top and trash, and then we put them through a process called thermal gasification. I won't bore you with the details. I probably won't know enough myself. Thermal gasification turns the biomass into syngas, and the syngas is a perfect feedstock to make a lot of things, probably anything starting with a bio. So biomethane, biomethanol, SAF, biodiesel, you name it. But our focus today is on SAF, sustainable aviation fuel, and renewable diesel. Those are the things that this country needs the most, and the world needs the most right now. I want to emphasize SAF, sustainable aviation fuel, is not about green. It is about green, but it's not really about green. It's about compliance. A few years from now, if you want to fly into the EU, you need to have 6% of SAF in the aircraft's tank, or you just cannot fly there, or you have to pay the fine that is double the price difference. And Australia, Qantas has said it's committing to 10% SAF, but Australia hasn't committed yet. And it's a shame if your national carrier commits to 10% SAF and you don't. That's why if you read the paper recently, the federal government is looking at ways to what they call induce a demand side market, which means they're going to impose a mandate at some point. Today, total production of SAF in Australia is 0. And in our project, we can pretty much do close to 100,000 tons of SAF for the first one. And then if we have more inputs coming from different cane regions, we can do more. Qantas needs 400,000 to satisfy its 10%, and we can be a good part of it, not just to satisfy Qantas, but for the Australian Defence Force, for the airports, for a lot of people, we can do our little part of it. In the Burdekin, the way we want to do this all along is to stop burning, and then we harvest the whole of crop. And then we put the whole of crop into the cane bins and send the bin to the mills. Don't laugh yet. And in the mill, at the mill, we're going to separate the tops and trash from the cane billets. So the mill get the billets, we get our top and trash. And we're going to briquetize them, turn them into briquettes, less moisture, high density, and send them to Townsville for further processing, thermal gasification into syngas, and then SAF. So this potential collaboration would need Wilma to be on board. We've been talking to them in Australia, but we also are going to talk to them in Singapore. We have very strong support from the Singapore government, and I won't go into details right now, but I think we do have what it takes. At the same time, we're working on an alternative. The alternative is from China. So this is a machine that works like a vacuum cleaner. If you have seen those fancy vacuum cleaners, the round ones that go around like a robot, they are kind of like that. So what happens is, when this works, Burdekin is going to harvest green, throw everything back into the paddock, and then this guy will come along. It will suck up all the tops and trash like a vacuum cleaner. It will shred it at the back and spit out pellets. Pellets would be good because they are easily transportable and can be stored. So I think the immediate question is, these things won't be fast enough, won't be efficient enough. We understand that, but what we're going to do is to bring one of those to the Burdekin during this harvest season, maybe in July, August timeframe, and see how it works. We will need modification, and China has 3 million engineering graduates every year that probably has got paid about 10% of what they pay here, and they can figure it out. It's a mechanical problem. This is not rocket science. So I think the important thing is we start on a plan B and a plan C to see how we can, number one, be more independent. Number two, be more cost effective, because these things, I won't say, but I'll say, is 200,000 a piece. So these are the things that we are working on in order to facilitate the process of collecting the tops and trash from the field. I talk about the technology. This is what it is. You take the biomass, solid biomass, you put them through gasification, not anaerobic digestion. This is thermal gasification, which means you burn the hell out of them. It's more efficient. It takes a lot less space. What comes out is the syngas, and then you put them through what we call a Fischer-Tropsch process. This is rocket science. This is a very latest technology. The way that we're using it to generate sustainable aviation fuel. And then from that, we can upgrade it and produce diesel and bio and SAF. So I said we connected the dots. So from the feedstock side, which obviously we're still working on, but I think there is some good progress that we're seeing, we need to connect them with the production technology. So we have two consortia working on it for us right now. The first one, what we call option one, is a company called ThyssenKrupp. ThyssenKrupp is a German company. They make submarines for Australia, among other things. And they got this thermal gasification technology in Europe that's been going on since 1975, so it's nothing new. And they can build plants. So we marry them with a company called Exxon. Exxon is a French company, R&D company, totally owned by the French government. They've built a plant in Dunkirk. So this is unprecedented, the German and the French coming together to build a plant in Dunkirk. And this plant is exactly what we try to do, thermal gasification from biomass, and then use the syngas to make SAF from Fischer-Tropsch process. So we are working with them, and they will submit their feasibility study, if not this week, early next week, definitely within May. And option two is working with another consortium. The gasification is provided by MIRI. MIRI is a huge engineering consortium based in Italy, but it's as a global business. And we are marrying them with this company called Johnson Matthey, which is acquired by Honeywell. So they together, they are building the largest SAF plant in the world in Louisiana. 350,000 tons of SAF production is being constructed right now, and they use bagasse as feedstock. Bagasse really ring a bell, in our head, and that's why we're working with them. And the important thing is we are working on first-of-a-kind projects, which means things can go wrong. And that's why we are sticking with the greatest of all partners so that when things go wrong, they can help us. Honeywell has got 120 years of history. It has got 150 billion US dollar capital. Axens is owned by the French government. ThyssenKrupp last year turnover is 38 billion euros. So these are huge companies. And why would they want to work with us? It's not because of us, it's because of you. They have come a long way to understand whatever technology they can produce means nothing if there is no feedstock. And it just so happened that we've been working on the feedstock side, and that's why they are going to turn out another feasibility, this group, for us this week or next week. So by end of May, we will have the technology ready, the feasibility ready, and marrying with feedstock, we can actually produce the required SAF or renewable diesel. And then the third factor of this is the off-taker who's going to buy it. The Australian government obviously is very keen to produce bioenergy here, which we are keen as well. But if you look at really feasible off-takers, it falls into three universes. One is Australia, and in Australia, you're talking about ADF, you're talking about Qantas, you're talking about the big supers. If you read an article just 2 days ago in the Australian Financial Review, supers came out, all the big supers came out. If the government can help this business, they're ready to invest. So you got the money standing behind all of this, and you got the airports as well. People say airlines need SAF. I would argue airports need SAF. If I'm Air France flying into Australia and need to fly back to the EU, to Paris, Paris want me to carry 6%. If I come to Australia, how do I get refuel? So if you are Sydney Airport, Melbourne Airport, Brisbane Airport, even some regional airports, you would need to be able to refuel these planes not so far away, maybe within 4 or 5 years. That's why we think the airports are going to be big customers. There is serious competition out there. Singapore. Russell, we went to Singapore last year to be in a conference to talk about bioenergy. Singapore has got the means because Singapore has got the world's third largest sovereign wealth. And this guy called Temasek is a government fund. They own every industry in Singapore that matters, including Singapore Airlines. And Singapore Airlines, again, they need SAF. So this is the second universe. And the third is what I call Japan Inc. Japan has declared they want 10% SAF in every plane landing in Japan come 2030. Japan has got zero resources. So working with the JAL, the ANA, the big trading houses is an avenue as well. So there is no shortage of takers of the product once we marry the feedstock with the technology. And Australian government has to step up if it really wants to keep the fuel in here because these guys are all knocking on our doors. So the message I want to send tonight is we need to have feedstock, and whatever you have really, really complement well with whatever we've been working on in the past 8-9 years. We have got probably the world's largest and most credible technology providers who are completing in a matter of days 2 feasibilities that can make this happen. And the last thing I worried about are the customers, because after a few years, every plane flying around the earth going to civilized countries have to have SAF in the tank. And Australia has got zero production today. So these are the macro factors that are in play to enable this project to happen. I got a timeline which I won't really bother you on, but broadly, we will be finishing our feasibility in a matter of days. we will start what we call the pre-front-end engineering design and the front-end engineering design. People talk about FEED, FEED. That would take a year. And then in the meantime, we will be talking to airlines or other potential off-takers and investors to get the project together. And we are targeting final investment decision and financial close 24 months from now, which means we're going to break ground in the third quarter of 2028, and the construction cycle is 24 months, which means we'll have a product to sell by 2030. It's not that far away. I will ask you to hold your questions, and I will probably ask maybe Greg and Phil to say a few words, or maybe Ryan has questions for them, and then I'll open up the floor.
Hi everyone, and thanks for coming. I wanted to thank Simon for his presentation. Also want to thank Greg Ekanara and his team here to put on this for the Bowls Club and the ladies who are going to sort of feed us a little bit later on. I want to acknowledge Mayor Raymond, who's going to join us on the panel. We got another chair over there, or we need another? Yeah. We had a few apologies later on tonight. Bob Catter was going to pop home, and he's found something else to do. And Wade Chiesa is also the state member for Hingebrook, was going to turn up as well. Want to introduce our panel. We've got Phil Morano. We've got Greg Bichel, former CEO of QSL. Simon, who you just spoke from, and Raymond, is you going to come and have a chat? Yeah. Of course we do. Grab a few. We've done this a few times, so I've just thought I'd usually ask some of the more frequently asked questions rather than everyone, putting up the same questions. These guys will answer it. I've got a few for each one, and then Simon will sort of direct who's going to answer whatever. And then we open up the floor. If anyone's got any questions, now's your chance to sort of have a go. We all like that person that hates everything, that always is, skeptical and dubious on everything. We want to win that person over. They answer their questions, and then they sort of get to do it. But Simon can direct the mic. Greg, how do you, obviously background QSL, sugar for your whole life, how do you see the sugar price going in the next 5 or 10 years, and why is it important for growers to future-proof their business against sugar price volatility?
I think everyone already knows the answer to this question. We don't know what the sugar price is going to do, but it's looking pretty terrible at the moment. And you want to have options to do other things. So that's what this is about, adding some value to what you do now. So the actual reason I got interested in this project is Simon came and saw me actually while I was still working at QSL. And I thought, this is another bloke who wants to rip the growers off. But he had this interesting model. And what we've been talking about in the Burdekin is that the growers can actually become owners of the company, and the growers get full visibility of the company's books, and you get paid based on how well the company's doing. So you can just get paid for your tops and trash if you want to, or you can get paid some of the money and take up shares with other parts of the money. But the way that we work out how much we're going to pay you works back from the selling price of the SAF, take out the costs, take out the margin for the investors in the company, say 12% or whatever agreed with them. And then what's ever left over is a profit that can be shared with the growers, and that determines the price. So instead of this thing you've got at the moment where you get paid as little as possible for what you're doing, you actually become an owner of the project. So that's what interested me. I know a lot of things have been tried in the past, and I think a few of you know about that, like Robert's here is an expert in this area as well and knows how hard it is to get a project off the ground. It just felt like the right time to me as well. If we're ever going to do this in Australia, we're either going to have to import a heap of this stuff to put it in our planes, and the military is going to have to use it as well, or we can make it here. So I think from all the discussions I've had, the government's decided we're going to make it here. They've just got to work out how they're going to support that to happen. So that's where we're at. My advice to the company at the moment is let's just build something to get some credibility. We don't have to build the biggest plant to take all of the tops and trash and whatever fallow crop you can grow on day one. We want to build something that makes, say, 100,000 tonnes of SAF, which will still be the biggest SAF plant that's even planned for Australia today. It's reasonably significant. But the reason why these big companies like Honeywell, we knew we had to get them to do the feasibility study so people would believe it and we could get investors in based on it. The reason they're interested is they're used to projects in Australia talking about things like, the FOGO waste, where people in Sydney put their potato peels into a plastic bag. That might make 1,000 tonne of SAF. This is 100 times bigger than that. And for a plant like this, you need the economy of scale. So I know I'm saying we're not going to use all this tops and trash on day one, but we're going to have a big one to start with. And if it works, we can make a plant that can take all of it. And I was chatting to a few people before, and potentially a fallow crop as well.
Cool, thanks. Phil, what got you involved in Sky Renewables down
Right,
at the
right. Let me take a minute to elaborate on the pricing formula. We are not getting any younger. I'm not getting any younger. And I've spent the last 9 to 10 years on this. This is my 10th harvest I'm going to see. I want to make it happen. And I'm so invested in this, both in terms of my own time, energy, and money. Our company has spent $7 million on the project, not having much to show for, except having the right to talk about it, only talk about it. And the way I'm seeing this, and it's an evolving concept. I think we have come to the point where we really like to have a fully integrated business, i.e. growers have a share in it, we have a little share in it. And the way to incentivize growers to be a part of it is, number one, we pay a price that is attractive enough for things that you are not, it beats the alternative use of what you're using tops and trash for today. Number two, I offer to bring out 20% of my own equity in the project and be shared among the growers. What it means is, if you can take your first year's supply to us, have maybe 40% of it in cash, the other 60% of it in shares, then collectively, if everybody were to do it collectively, you own 20% of the project. And those shares stay with the farm, which means if you have to sell the farm at some point, then those shares will be worth something, because I'm pretty sure if the project were to happen, the shares in Sky Renewables 10 years from now would be worth a lot more than now, which means we are all in the same boat. And in terms of pricing formula, it's even simpler. No two person can agree on the price. So we're not asking them to agree on a price, we're asking them to agree on a formula. The formula is easy. By the time we sign an offtake contract, we'll know how much money we're going to get. For example, our projection is $3,000 per ton of SAF. That's our revenue. From it, we take out a simple profit, 10-12%, which, by the way, you got to share as well. And then we take out all the costs. Whatever is left is yours. But it cut both ways. If the price of SAF at that point becomes $3,500, you get more. If it becomes $2,500, you get less. But you don't have to commit until that day. So we are not asking growers to say, yeah, I'll sign up today. No, we're not. We're saying this is something we've been working for 10 years. We keep working probably for another 2 or 3. And by the time we're in a position to bring you the contract, that will be the time when you will seriously think whether you want to be involved, and you're not taking any risk. Until the plant is up and running, you're really supplying the trash. Sorry.
You're right. Phil, what got you involved in Sky Renewables down in the Burdekin, and have growers there taken up the project line proposal?
Well, first of all, I got involved with Sky Renewables. Just to go back a little bit, I was part of a small company that was looking at biofuels. We were called Burdekin Renewable Fuels, and we were investigating SAF, glycols, and using the whole of our crop, actually turfing Wilmar out, taking over all of our crop and making everything for ourselves, because most growers know Wilmar and growers have a difficult relationship. So we were looking at taking control of our own destiny. So while we were involved in that, Simon turned up, like every harebrained scheme that we've had over the years, come to us and have I got a deal for you? So we gave him a listen, see what he had to offer. And what struck me from Simon, he's the first person that actually turned up with an idea where he didn't want the growers to put their hand in the pocket. So we said, well, if that's the case, we'll give you all the help you want, moral help, physical help. We went out and helped gather trash, to do trials and all that sort of stuff. And Simon has remained for a long time. And from what I can see, like I said, he hasn't asked the growers for any money. He's willing to do all the work. We give him support, moral support, help him out where we can, and we've been doing that for a few years now. But it's starting to mature, that the markets are starting to mature. He's found markets which we as growers could never do. He's got the contacts. It's all going ahead. And what we need to do as growers is help Simon work out a system of actually collecting what we need. The tops and trash in the Burdekin is what he's after. So the logistics of collecting all that tops and trash is going to need some work. It's not finalised. And we also got to make sure that at the end of the day, it's worthwhile for growers to make the change. There's got to be money in it. And I've always said to Simon, if there's money in it, growers will make the change, but they're not going to make the change to make the same amount of money they're making now. So, yeah, we've been involved. I've probably been involved with Simon for 6 of the 8 years that he's been there. So, yeah, that's how it all come about.
Raymond, as mayor, farmer, why is it important for the Shire's economy to look at diversification?
Well, that's what it's about, diversification, because if you think about it, you know, the old saying, don't have all your eggs in one basket. And unfortunately, that's what we've got. You know, many of you have come on the journey with me. I didn't believe that, you know, we could not grow anything else in this district, that we could potentially get high value crops growing in our fallows to supplement our income. Many of the people here actually, you know, we did trials, we did all those crops, but whilst we were successful in it, the fact of the matter is that, you know, we're not going to get 10 out of 10 out of pulses or any other high value crops. And that's because of the volatility of our weather pattern. I mean, you know, there's no crop other than cane that can stand up to the weather patterns that we have here. So hence, you know, when you look around, what are we going to do? And it is very essential for us because, you know, as many of you know, we are only a very small shire. We're half the size of the Burdekin. We're a quarter the size of Cassowary, and let alone, you know, the bigger ones out there. So we do need to have another income stream. We need to have, you know, more than one income stream because we're too small. We don't have the land mass or the land area, and we can't keep hitting the same people, the same amount of rates without those people having another affordable income. So we have been looking at everything, and as I said, when you look at everything, you know, what are we good at? We can grow cane here. So we do know, you just got to have a look around the rest of the world. The rest of the world is doing a lot of stuff, you know, with the biotechnology, you know, as has been mentioned, the SAF, ethanol and all that. And, you know, with Robert, you know, unfortunately the fact of Robert is that, you know, Robert was 20 years ahead of the government. And now if we can just get him injected and excited again, we might get there because the government is primed for that type of thing. But leaving it alone, that principle is there. There is another income stream available and that we have to work hard. And I think it's my job to lobby on behalf of my people to try and get the governments to understand that if it can be done everywhere else, why can't it be done here? I mean, you know, we're the smart state. We're the smart state.
So, Simon, you can choose who answers some of these, but does partnering with Sky Renewables mean that growers will stop producing or reduce producing sugar?
The answer today is no. We are not trying to influence, affect, or take away whatever you're doing. We just want things that you can actually sell to us at a price that would make you think is worthwhile. The trash lying in the paddock, as well as potential fallow crop. And like I said, the market is very different now. People are offering $3,000 per ton of SAF, which means whatever problem that can be solved by money can be solved. You know, the big guys, Honeywell, began his life making electronics for aircrafts. Now they're in this. There's a lot of driver behind this, and because of the ultimate price, we can make a lot of things that didn't work in the past work now. So, yeah, so importantly to remember is we need to keep changing. If we don't change, the world will go by and leave us behind. So, I'm not young. I'm still trying to change. I'm trying to make sense out of things around me. And a lot of projects, they don't really have feedstock in mind or enough in mind, which I think would not be successful. We are working with growers. Glenn, Russell, Phil, or anybody coming from the Copernican will know how much time I've been spending because I know growers are the most important. Without you, without your feedstock, there is nothing whatsoever. And we try to work with government a lot, and we know what government can do, what government cannot do, and that's why we've been relying on ourselves a lot more. But the macro is working. The macro is working. Australia has finally realized that we need to have self-sufficiency or a little bit more of our own domestic fuel. And that's where we come in. And you think about this project, from the paddock to manufacturing to jobs to making money, helping airlines, helping defense industry, tax, community. No one, I dare you, no one will lose in this project, not a single soul. And that's the beauty of it.
Can I just add a little bit? And I think that's one of the things that attracted me as a grower and a lot of the growers in the Burdekin is we're keeping the sugar stream. We're not trying to get rid of the sugar. Like when we were with looking at Burdekin Renewable Fuels, which was a separate little company, we were looking at taking all the cane, the sugar, the juice and everything. Well, Simon just wants the tops and trash, which is a change for us because we do burn in the Burdekin, but he's looking at taking something that we just burn and throw away every year and turning it into a revenue stream. And it is really low risk, and this is why I was attracted as a grower. It's really low risk for me as a grower because, as I said, Simon's not asking us to put our hand in our pocket for any money. And if at the end of the day, Simon's full of shit and nothing happens, I've lost nothing except a little bit of time that I gave him, which is nothing to me. But the potential, if he's right and he can get it going, there's potential for us to really change the way our industry performs and our revenue streams. And that's why I believe it's really something that growers need to back, need to support, and need to get behind.
Just following on from that, like we're obviously saying how great this thing and everyone, you guys are obviously going to support it. But what are there downsides to partnering with Sky Renewables? Do you see any risks to the project? Is there anything? What's holding farmers back?
I think what holds farmers back is just farmers don't like change, and that's it. And in the Burdekin, we do burn, we don't cut green, and to cut green for us is going to be a big change. And there's a lot of growers that say we can't do it. You can't cut cane green. And I just say to those growers and harvesting contractors, well, how much money do you need to convince you to cut green? And that, in the end, is what it comes down to. So, like I said, if there's no money to be made, no one's going to change. But if there's money to be made, growers and contractors will change because no one's just going to say we don't want more money. And at the end of the day, if, like I said, Simon can't get it up and it doesn't work, what have I as a grower lost? Nothing. Whereas every other project that's come through the Burdekin in all my years that I've been there, they want growers to put their hand in their pocket and fund it to the tune of $500,000, $1 million to prove something, just to do feasibility studies. Well, we're being asked for nothing except support. And if at the end of the day, if the project goes ahead, everything will be worked out, a contract will be put in front of the growers, and they can either say, yes, it's worth it to me, or no, it's not. And that's how it is.
Just add something there, Phil, something that might give you a little bit of confidence this is going to happen. It's still not 100% it's going to happen, but I think it's a fairly high chance and growing higher given what's happened. But normally with a project like this, you employ someone like Honeywell, one of the biggest companies in the world. You want their name on the feasibility study and you've got to pay them quite a bit of money to do it. You know how much money we paid Honeywell to do the feasibility study? We haven't paid them anything. We want them to be an investor in the project. So they're going to be involved as a project partner, and we're not going to pay them for it. So, they've already made the judgment, as has ThyssenKrupp and Axons and those other companies who we had up there who were already project partners, that this thing has a good chance of happening, and we want to be involved on day one. So we're going to do the feasibility work for these guys, and we're not going to charge them for it. Of course, they're asking for other stuff from us, but we haven't given them any money, right, Simon? So I think that probably is just a good sign for me. You get down in the dumps occasionally about, the government's not doing anything, or this isn't happening fast enough. But then you get an event like that happening where we went and approached these guys, and they were the only ones that we asked to do the feasibility work because they're the best in the world and the ones who will be most likely to be believed by investors, because we're going to need a lot of money. We put 7 million in, but that's nothing compared to what we need to get this done. We're going to need the credibility of those people to make it happen and get the investors involved that will need to be involved to make it happen. So thought that was maybe just worth explaining.
Yep. The same as what you're saying. There's a market that there's going to be a need for SAF, sustainable aviation fuel, if anyone didn't know what that was. But to fill up planes and aviation, replace that in the market, we're currently making none of it here. So we're still going to need it. We either start making it here or we ship it in from here and buy it from someone that's making it overseas. Simon, I might just ask you one more question, and then we'll open up to the floor. If anyone's got any more, throw what you want at these guys. If growers here today want to get involved and partner with you, what are you actually asking from them?
I don't think any one of you will be thinking about that now. I just want to plant this seed in your head that there's somebody like me, like Sky Renewables. We have a strong team. We have got the backing of the largest companies in the world, not because they like me, not because I look good. It's because they see the future, which I hope you also see. We'll be coming back many, 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 many times. And I really like to be in contact with you. I got my business cards at the front. I want to be in contact with you so that if you have a question, we can do more town halls like this, maybe smaller groups, shared meetings. I did a lot of those in the Burdick, and I think I'm realistic. I don't think we need less time here. We just need to be doing more intensively. And I'm not asking you to take any risk whatsoever. I just want you to understand what we're trying to do and ask me whatever questions you have. When the time comes, the time would be at least 12, 18 months from now, or maybe 18, more like 18. We're going to say to you, we have done the entire plant design. And when I say the entire plant design, it means everything plus or minus 10%, which means the front-end engineering design would prove everything that we say, plus or minus 10%. We will have got an off-taker, Airbus, Qantas, Boeing, ADF, whoever, to at least sign a binding letter of intent. We will almost have fully negotiated the entire construction contract, the equipment, the technology. And by which time I'd like to come back to you and say, this is shaping up the way we want it. And if the contract looks like this, would you be able to consider? I don't need you to sign. You sign when everybody signs. This sort of project, we put everybody in a room the day of financial close and sign a bunch of contracts like for 24 hours, because the banks are not going to take risks unless you are on board, unless, for example, Boeing is on board. The off-taker is not going to be on board unless they know there's fuel supply. So it all works on a back-to-back basis, which means everybody taking the risk at the same second or nobody's taking any risk. So all I need from you today is an open mind, be curious, and talk to me, and I'll organize a few more meetings or many more meetings like this, and I work with the collectives to make sure everybody got enough information. So when the time comes, it's going to be built on. When the time comes, it would be an easy decision.
Cool. All right. So I was going to say there's no silly questions, but there probably is. If anyone's got a question, who wants to ask one? There's probably, if you're thinking it, someone else is probably thinking as well. If you want to put your hand up, I'll come around. You can ask it. Here we go.
Simon, it's not actually a question. Bioenergy, as you know, 10 years ago, we tried to break the shackles from Wilmar, because Wilmar is not our future. It will drive us to the ground. Now, you are looking for feedstock, right? Now, I believe that 10 years ago we went down because the subsidies that Malcolm Turnbull gave to the renewables, right? And we had no income from power source to pay for our debt. Now I'm excited that you have another stream of income, right, which will be together with the sugar part of the mill or whatever. You with our bioenergy people should talk about rejuvenating the feedstock in a sugar mill, right, where you have all the bagasse you want. If the power is low price, you got your bagasse to do whatever you want to do with the briquettes. We will be shackled away from Wilmar, and there's other scopes of renewables that we can go into, because if we go back to making another mill, right, it'll be a new mill with new boilers and new machinery, not that Wilmar bag of bolts that could probably go to Sims Metal in a couple of years' time. Right, so that's my thoughts. This thing about getting your feed source from the paddock with a vacuum cleaner or whatever, to me, is not, how can I say, a guarantee that you'll have feedstock. You have a sugar mill, yes, you'll have feedstock in the bagasse or the vacuum cleaner at the mill where it takes the trash off the cane. Right, so if you got big backers, then maybe we can have some income for our mill.
John, right? John. Thank you, John. Yes, I have big dreams, and I work every day to make those dreams come true, and my dream have no boundaries. I agree with everything you said, but we want to start somewhere, and start somewhere where we can control, and build from there, and sky's the limit with you and I. I said before, we have been spending our own money, our sweat equity, i.e. I have not been with an income, my team hasn't, for the last 8 years. We believe in this so much. And we are not going to the government for handouts because our project can stand on its own feet. I can tell you, based on our calculation, our project will earn a 12 to 13% return, which is unheard of. A lot of projects won't happen without subsidies. We don't need subsidies. And any project that requires long-term subsidies is not going to happen. We need government support. Obviously, if they want to write a check, that's great, but we are not betting our future on that check. We are betting our future on you, on all the fundamentals. So yes, I agree with 100% of what you said. And the first time I drove up to Queensland, to northern Queensland, there isn't much industry, right? So everything that has got smoke coming out are mills, and it was an eyesore. So yeah, thanks, John.
All right. Who's else got one? Here we go, at the back. Oh.
On feel that special.
Yeah.
Just wondering, from the work you've done, tops and trash converted to SAF, how many tons of or kilos do you need to produce a litre of SAF, for instance?
So we are working on, we're working on 100,000 tons of SAF. We don't talk in terms of liters because liters make numbers too big. 100,000 tons of SAF. Why 100,000 tons? Because that is the sweet spot of Honeywell's strategy. They can do 100,000 tons, 70,000 tons, but not 200,000 tons per plant. It may grow in the future.
Now, I understand that. I'm just saying the conversion rate of trash and tops, if you were to convert it, what's your typical return on your ton, on a ton of tops and trash?
To make 100,000 tons of SAF, we need around plus or minus 1.6 million tons of green trash. Green tons of trash.
So I've got one more question. If you're gasifying it at high temperature, where's the energy source coming from? Is there an additional external energy you would require to elevate those temperatures to gasify it?
When people talk about SAF, the whole point is decarbonized jet fuel, which means what we call your carbon footprint in making the SAF matters. So it goes from the fertilizer, the diesel, the logistics, the plant, everything. So when people talk about canola, there's a problem with canola because the production per hectare is a lot smaller, which means it's of high carbon intensity. So what we try to do, number one, Tops and Trash has got the lowest carbon intensity in the world. Number two, we can either leverage whatever copper string can bring to us in Lansdowne in terms of renewable energy, or we just have to use some of those trash as feedstock to generate 100% green power. We want our SAF to be the greenest, which means it will sell at the highest price.
Thank you.
All right. Any others? Who's else got one? Here we go.
Yeah, just a question. Are you in direct competition with Jet Zero for supplying the Airbuses and the Qantases? So is this a competition to try and compete there for the same market?
So I'll give you some perspective. If Australia imposes a 10% SAF mandate, meaning every airline that lands or leaves Australian airports has to carry 10% SAF, we need 1.1 million tons. You think about all the projects today, say there are 10. I bet you out of those 10, 7 will never happen. And you take 3, we will never be competing with anybody. And we got the overseas market. So if you think about the entire Asia, you think about the affluent Asia, Singapore. Singapore is the second richest country in the world. Singapore has got, Australia has got 2,000 times the landmass of Singapore. And Singapore's population is 25% of ours. It got 0 resources. What we're good at is to export resources. But we need to export high-value resources, not the low-value kind and things that people need the most today. So we will never, well, not never, at least in the foreseeable future, we will never be competing with anybody.
And second question is, if you build a plant, what's it going to be powered by? Gas, electricity, or are you going to try and resource biomass to fire the boilers?
If we have excess, yes, obviously it's a calculation, but I think, like I said before, the best thing to do is to make our plant electricity totally green, which means our carbon footprint would be the lightest, the smallest. And part of it can be addressed by using excess biomass for fuel. Thank you.
He's talking about Lansdowne. Lansdowne's the industrial plant just sort of 40 k's out of Townsville. It's meant to be fully powered through renewables anyway. It's got power lines running into it. Who's got more questions? Anyone? Must be some. Huh? Yeah. Oh, hang on. One more. Well, maybe 2 more, and then we'll get the sausages out and everyone get a feed.
Simon, you mentioned a little earlier that you're a couple of days, maybe a week away from your feasibility finalisation. I take it in that feasibility assessment that you would also then have some cash flow projections, or be they estimated around what that plant might look like and produce. What does that look like for the grower?
Great question. When we talk about feasibility, people think about technical stuff. Yes, technical stuff. But the most important feasibility is commercial feasibility, whether it makes money. So in the feasibility, we have a business case. The business case is built on how much money I pay the growers. And in the Burdekin, everybody knows that number is an attractive number. We add all the costs onto it. And trust me, when a Honeywell is doing the feasibility, they'll pump up the cost of the technology and the construction, which we're going to bring them down. Even with that, we are going to make 12, 13% project return. So As a grower, number one, you get a price per ton, which needs to be more attractive than what you're getting today or not getting today. Second of all, you are shareholder. You need to get a return on your investment. And if you decide to sell your farm at some point, which I hope not, then you make a return on that as well. And think about the next buyer of your farm. He's a farm without equity. He's a farm with equity. Guess which one he's going to buy? If he knows this project is to keep making money, he'll buy the farm that has got equity passed on to it. So this is, to me, a very selfish way. It sounds good, but it's a very selfish way to make sure everybody's in the boat at all times. The Honeywells of the world, they're Exxons as well. The Honeywells of the world, I pushed them to do it for free. I said, if it's not for free, what skin you've got in the game? It's not just the feasibility. Why can't we start the pre-FEED and the FEED in June right after feasibility? They're going to fund it as well. I'd rather go to a commercial company, especially US multinationals, who is very pragmatic, to say, do you see value in this? If you do, you need to help me. And for them, it's not money. It's just work 20 guys harder. That's all they need to do. And they're willing to do it. Rather than going to the government and say, we cannot move without you, and for them to really stack the projects up and understand what we're doing, it will take a long time. Honeywell, snap decision. I will be flying to Chicago maybe 2 weeks from now to negotiate an agreement with them. I'm doing it in parallel with Exxon's in Paris to make sure I get the best deal. They are fighting for it. Think about this. It's not just the project makes sense. Our projects are very scalable, which means if it works in a Bergen and here, it works everywhere. So in terms of project, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 in all the cane growing regions. Sugar beet is even more attractive. Sugar beet is not really a tropical crop, but they are grown in the US bordering Mexico. They are grown in Egypt. They're grown in Chile. So we are importing tropical species of sugar beet, which we are the sole importer. Imagine that works. Then you go south. You go to Bundaberg. Again, 70,000 hectares of land. You go to tableland. If those works, you go south of it. You go to New South Wales. You go to Victoria. You go to Tasmania. You can grow. You can have like 20 projects. Let me not exactly. You can have 10 projects. So these are the things that can actually become very scalable. If you are Honeywell, would you want to work with 10 project proponents on 10 different projects, or you want to work with one of them on 10 projects, which means you can just cookie cut, save you a lot of design, money, and sweat, which means we get a better deal as well. That's why they are so interested. This is all commercial sense economics. It's not about they like me or they like this project better. It's because money talks. That's it.
All right, guys, this guy had the same question, so we don't have to ask that to Gwen. You got another one? Righto.
Simon, I understand, and I think it's a credit to you guys that you've got the Honeywells and the Marabennys and the like on board, and they're doing a lot of work for nothing. That's great. The people in this room are only interested in one thing, and that is, and just to be clear, everybody that thinks about the project may supply you with trash. They won't necessarily be shareholders. They may be, but they may not be. So from a grower perspective, the thing that will be part of the convincing them to look more seriously at this project is what's the bottom line to me. That's all that counts, and they'll compare that with whatever else we're doing.
I think there are 2 layers to it. The first bottom line is, will this work? If it doesn't work, doesn't really matter. If it works, and it's not a presumption, it's something I'm going to show you 12, 18 months down the road through talking to you, because you're going to teach me how, that it works, and you have got the world's best technology company standing behind this. They got real skin in the game. And then we will, by the time I send you a draft contract, not really asking you to sign, but asking you to look at it, there will be a number. And you tell me whether that works. And that number is not, I negotiate with you and you and you. That's the formula. That's all I can give you. So there are 2 layers to your question. I'm not asking for an answer. Don't ask me for an answer now. But by the time I ask you to really commit to this, you'll know.
All right. So thanks everyone for coming. The bar's still open. They're going to bring some food out. anyone that didn't want to put their hand up and ask a question but still got some, these guys aren't going anywhere. They can still answer your questions. Go and have a chat.
Let me just 1 minute. I truly, truly appreciate you all coming today. It means a lot to me. Trust me. Having that many growers in a room doesn't happen every day. This is probably the second time. And I really want to keep this conversation going. This is a win-win. I'm not asking you to let me win and you lose because you will never do it. You're smart enough. But there is a different world out there that is crying out for these resources. And there are a lot of challenges, lots of questions, but let's get to the questions and the answers. And at this time, please be open-minded, hear it, listen to it, ask questions. That's all I can ask for. That's all I can ask for. And we're always reachable, so please. And I thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Just said if they want some more info.
Yep. If anyone's looking for more info, there's the sign-in sheet at the front. As long as you've got your email address or your phone number on there, Simon will reach out, get in touch. Make sure you're on a mailing list. So if there's any more information, you get fed it. It'll all come through the organisations as well.